Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, wherever you may be. This is By Hook or By Needles, and I am Sam. And today we are looking at the moss stitch. Now, it does look similar to the seed stitch, and in fact, often it's also called the double seed stitch, and you will see why shortly. I've already started. I've done my cast on. I did my purl one, knit one cast on, and then I did 2 rows. No, hang on. Well, I'll show you what I did. What you're actually doing is on the seed stitch, you do knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and then when you come back, you knit the purl stitches and you purl the knit stitches. Well, with moss stitch, it's slightly different. You do your knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1 all across, and when you come back, you purl the purl stitches and you knit the knit stitches. So it's almost like you are starting off a ribbing, because you are not doing the seed stitch where you're knitting the purl stitches and purling the knit stitches. Okay, so you're following the format. You knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches on your way back. But then when you come back to going this way again, that is when you purl the knit stitches and knit the purl stitches. So you are still switching. So you can see this is not a ribbing, obviously. But what you can see is, if we look at it, you can see 2 knit stitches, one above the other. And you can see 2 purl stitches, one there and one there above each other. So it's 2 rows like that, and then, as you can see, above the 2 purl rows, you can see 2 knit rows. Above that, you can see 2 purls. And above that, you can see 2 knits, because you're alternating every hang on, but 1, 2, third row, on the third row. So on the third, and it's a 4-row repeat. So you do knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. On the way back, you knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. Then you flip it, you knit the purl stitches and you purl the knit stitches all the way back. But then when you come back again this way, you still do the knit into the knit and the purl into the purl. So I'll show you, because that's probably confused you. I think I've even confused myself. But what you end up getting is a slightly more, less sort of zigzaggy sort of bumps, and you get more of this, the purl stitch sort of the knit stitch sitting proud and sort of more obvious. And the reason, like I say, it's called a double seed stitch is because instead of doing 1 row of the seed stitch, you're doing basically 2 rows following the same format. So this is going to be row 1 of a new repeat that I'm about to start. It's a purl stitch, so I'm going to knit it, because it's row 1, so it's the first row of the repeat. I need to knit the purl stitches and purl the knit stitches. That's what you're doing in row 1 and in row 3. Okay, so you're just knitting the purls and purling the knits on the first row and in the third row. And on the second row and the fourth row, you're following the pattern. You're following the stitches. You're following what is already there. You are not switching. You're doing, you're doing the stitch as it should be done, or as it is showing you it needs to be done. So this is stitch 1. As you can see, I'm knitting the purl bumps. I need to just bring that down a little bit, I think, so I can rest my hand a little bit. So I'm purling the knit stitches and knitting the purl stitches, and I'm doing that all the way across. to the end to recreate this similar but not quite as the seed stitch. I mean, it looks like you're doing the seed stitch when you're doing this row. When you're doing row 1 and 3, it's very much like you're doing the seed stitch because you are not following the pattern. You're not following what's already there. Like this is a knit stitch, but we're going to purl it. So in that sense, it is very much like the seed stitch. But it's the row coming back, and I'm about to show you that is different to the seed stitch. Row 2 and 4 are different to the seed stitch. Row 1 and 3 are the same. So and I'll knit that last one. Okay, so now we turn the work. Now if I was doing seed stitch, I would say, okay, well this is a purl, I've got to knit this, and the next one's a knit, so I've got to purl that. But we're not doing seed stitch. We are doing something that's often called double seed stitch, but is actually also called moss stitch. And for row 2 and 4, we purl the purl stitches. So that first stitch is a purl, so we're going to purl it. The second stitch is a knit stitch, so we're going to knit it. So we follow what it's showing us to do. We purl the purl stitches and we knit the knit stitches. So it's just giving us a slightly different appearance. We're not changing it we're not doing a seed stitch like every row. We're just going to do a second row following the stitches that are there. And this is where understanding what a knit and purl look like really comes into being very handy. I have got a video on how to recognize stitches. I'll try and remember to put that in. It's called What Stitch Is This? But ultimately I think most people now know that if you've got a little V there and no bump, that's a knit stitch. So for row 2 of the moss stitch, you knit the knit stitches and you purl the purl stitches. In row 1 of moss stitch, you treat it like a seed stitch row, and you knit the purl stitches and you purl the knit stitches. Just get a bit more yarn. This is another stitch that will not curl. It is reversible, so it will look the same on the front and the back. And once again, it is ideal for things like shawls, scarves, tops, cowls, you name it, anything you want to do. But I find it particularly useful for those things that you want to be reversible, such as a scarf or an infinity scarf or a cowl. You want them to be reversible. Okay, so you can see this is one side, and you can see what I mean. In the seed stitch, it's the purl stitch that sort of sticks up. In this, the moss stitch, it's almost the knit stitch that sort of pops a bit better. So this is the one side, and this is the reverse side, and you can see exactly the same. These are very good for edging, stockinette stitch to stop it from curling as well. But yeah, it's a pretty stitch. Okay, so we've done 2 rows. The first row we knit the purl stitches and we purled the knit stitches. On the second row, we knit the knit stitches and we purled the purl stitches. This is row 3. So we're going to reverse it again. This is a knit stitch, so we're going to purl it. So we are going to, it's row 3. Row 1 and 3, we reverse it. We purl the knit stitches and we knit the purl stitches. Yes. I just had to stop to think, did I say that right? So we purl that first stitch because it's a knit stitch. Second stitch is a purl stitch, so we're going to knit it. And then we're going to do that all the way across. But similarly to the seed stitch, as long as you start off correctly, you just need to alternate knit, purl, knit, purl. You know, unless you've made a mistake and put 2 knit stitches together or 2 purl stitches together, you're not going to need to sort of really read your stitches or know what you've done. So, purl stitch, we've got a knit. Knit stitch, got a purl. And we do this all the way across. The moss stitch and seed stitch, yes, they are similar, but as I've shown, when it comes to actually making them, they are slightly different, and they also look slightly different. Moss stitch is also known as the double seed stitch. So if you hear double seed stitch, think moss stitch. And the reason it's called double seed is because you're doing 2 rows and not 1 row. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does. The next knit purl stitch I'll be showing you will be a while away, because I do really need to catch up on some crocheting bits, some baby bits. I'm expecting sock patterns from Stephen West to drop very soon, so I will need to concentrate on that. But these stitches, this pattern should keep you occupied for a little while. Okay, so that was our first stitch. Sorry, row 3. So now we're on row 4, which is the same as row 2, and that is we knit the knit stitches and we purl the purl stitches. So again, we knit the knit stitches and we purl the purl stitches. Remembering to just bring that yarn forward and back before we do each stitch, otherwise you'll end up with additional stitches that you don't want or need. And as you can see, it's not a stiff stitch at all. A stiff stitch. Gee, I actually said that without slurring or spitting. And it's quite pretty. I really do. I enjoy these ones, especially, as I say, because they are a bit mindless. Once you know, as long as you can keep track of which row you're doing, whether you're doing a first and third or second and fourth rows, you're fine. It's just making sure that you know whether you're knitting the knit stitches or purling the knit stitches and vice versa. That's where you can come unstuck. But really, it's quite a forgiving stitch as well. So if you do happen to have 2 knit stitches in a row or 2 purl stitches in a row, just sort of rectify it the next time you go past. And yeah, it'll probably show up, but someone would have to look fairly closely to see it show up. So that is the end of the 4th row and the end of the pattern repeat. So if we go to stitch row 1, we would need to do the opposite again. Row 1, we got a purl stitch there, so we would knit it. So we go and we purl the knit stitches. But as you can see, like I say, it is different to the seed stitch, but equally as pretty. It's equally as unisex. equally reversible, will not curl, and I think is just very nice for just knit purl, knit purl, knit purl. And you know, what could be easier than that other than all knitting or whatever. So there you go. That's another stitch in your quiver. Is that called a quiver when you've got an arrow kicked in your quiver? Yeah, whatever. Whatever, Sam. Okay, people, thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And practice, practice, practice. I know you can do these stitches and these patterns. They are so easy. And, you know, knitting really is not the mysterious thing that many do think it might be. And you can get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and you can make, you know, a lot of things very quickly. I mean, it hasn't taken me long really to do those 4 rows. And, you know, that's probably not wide enough for a scarf. I mean, what is the width of that? I think I cast on 20 odd stitches or something. It's 16 centimeters, which is 6 inches. That's almost the recommended or standard width of a scarf. So yeah, but obviously that's going to vary depending on your the needle size and the yarn weight and all the rest of it. This is knit with a 4.5mm needle, which is which is a 7 US. I think that says, does it say 7? 7 US, 4.5mm. It's a higher needle, and the yarn is a 3-weight DK or 8-ply. So yeah, there we go. Give it a go and see how it works for you. Till the next time, I'll say goodbye for now. I will be back tomorrow with something. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be back with, to be perfectly honest. I haven't got a roster or anything. There's lots I need to be doing. I need to be crocheting fruit as well, but I'll get there. All right, thanks very much. Take care, and bye for now.